In this video, I'm going to show a few errors, and these are common things that sometimes I see at the beginning of dealing with non-chord tones and writing them. So let's look at the following. What if you had this assignment to take this little short 5-chord excerpt and add non-chord tones to it? The non-chord tones from the first unit. So you would look for passing tone. That's the most common. Where could we put a passing tone? I only see one place, and that would be right there. Where could you add a neighbor tone? Anytime there's a repeated note, right there or right there. What if you thought you could add a passing tone right here, and you call that F to G, and this is not part of the chord right there, so you called it a passing tone? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is it doesn't go F, G, A, but it goes F, G, skip. And passing tone has to be between a third, unless it's a chromatic passing tone. So this is a nothing. That's wrong, and you can't call that a passing tone. Okay? What if we're looking for a place to put a suspension? We need to go down a step, and that one does, this one does, this one does, and this one does. The soprano, so, fa, mi, re, do, any place there could have a suspension. So let's say we want to put a suspension from this C and where it goes down to the B flat. So look at my music here. I've got C, C, B flat. That's a suspension, right? No, not quite. It looks like a suspension. It's repeated and goes down. But what's wrong with that? Can you look for just a minute and tell me what's wrong with that? A suspension happens at a chord change, right? Did this happen at a chord change? What is the chord on the and of one? Same thing it was over there. No change. It's just an FAC chord. So that's not even dissonant. That can't be a suspension there. It's just taking a quarter note and dividing it into 2/8. It would only be a suspension if we made that a quarter note and shoved that C over to where the chord changes here and make this quarter a C, B flat, 8th note. Then our suspension would be right there and it would be correct. Okay, let's take the 5th chord. This is a dominant chord, and we had talked about a common place to put a 4/3 suspension is above a 5 chord. We can do that. We can take this F and change it to F, E, and make it a 4/3. Right, I did that. I've got the quarter note 4, and then I've got 4/3. BF is dissonant. Is it? It's cited as a suspension. It's called a 4/3 suspension. It's above a C. What's wrong with that? It kind of looks right, but it kind of looks wrong. And it is wrong. What's wrong with it? What's wrong is the alignment. This should be over there, and this F should be suspended right there on beat 4. And then that E should come in afterwards. It's not exactly what's written, but it's the way it's written and the alignment that's wrong. And I will count that wrong. You need to be able to draw a vertical line between the note heads of a beat. So there's beat 1. Here's beat 2, and that works. Here's beat 3, and that works. But beat 4 is a problem. Beat 4 in the soprano, 4 in the alto. There's beat 4 in the tenor. 1, 2, 3, 4 and that and should come right there. So it's an alignment problem. I'll be taking my little red pen and drawing a line like this, connecting the note heads that ought to be in a straight line, and that will be an alignment problem. And let's don't do that. One last thing, and that is the 6/5 suspension. This is known as a consonant suspension, and it's not nearly as common. Don't write it yet, but I want you to be aware of it. If we have a 1-6-4, 5-7, 1, we have an F chord, a C7 chord, and an F chord. This A has been suspended above that C7 chord. C, E, there's the G. The A takes the place of the G temporarily, and the B flat. There's the C7 chord right there. And so this A, if you figure it above the bass, is a 6th going to a 5th. Well, we've talked about dissonance and consonants, and a 6th is not dissonant. but here it's called a suspension, and it really isn't part of the chord. It's not exactly dissonant with the bass, but it's dissonant to the chord. It's a very beautiful sound, but it's a different kind of suspension. I don't think you'll need to use it, but I just want you to be aware that it might exist and we might run across it. All right, that's it. You're ready to do your homework from the workbook, and if you haven't done the handout, then do that too, and both of those are due next class period. Check the schedule to see what's due in our next class meeting, and bring both assignments with you. If you're still working on the melody, bring that too. Have a good weekend, if you can, with the work dumped on you in theory. Enjoy.